All yours, Mary Lee.
Oh, okay, I thought Vicky was conducting the meeting to get the meeting underway, but I guess not. So,
That's right, you're not the chair yet.
yeah, should I call the meeting to order?
No, I'll call it to order.
Oh, Vicky's there. Okay, good.
We definitely have everybody here, I believe. I'd like to move to approve the July 25th regular meeting agenda.
Nice.
Oh, Miles isn't here. Miles isn't here yet. I'm sorry.
He's not going to be.
Okay,
So we do have a quorum.
but we do have a quorum. Okay, so can we approve the regular meeting agenda?
I'll make that motion. I move to approve the July 2025 regular meeting agenda.
I'll second.
And all right, and then we have the June 12th.
Favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You just wanted me to get stumbled, didn't you, Mary Lee? This
Yeah,
first.
I really did. Thank you, Vicky. I appreciate it.
Okay, now we have the meeting of, the minutes of the June 12th regular meeting. Does anybody have any questions about that? No? If so, can I have a motion to approve said minutes?
I move to approve the minutes of June 12, 25 regular meeting.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Since I wasn't at the meeting.
Did you read them?
I did.
Okay, that's good enough.
Okay.
I agree with you, but that's not how we tend to do it, and I don't know why.
Okay. Well, they looked great.
Is that, are there still three of us here?
Yes.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so the minutes are approved, the adoption of the agenda is approved. Let's move on to correspondence.
And we have none. Surprising.
And any public comment? Public comment, fellas?
There's no one online either.
Nobody's online. All righty. So as long as there is none, let's go on to Stella's report, financial information and reports.
Good morning, everybody. I don't have a whole lot to report today. Probably one thing to really point out though is the fiscal 25 year ended June 30th. However, as what happens every year at the end of the fiscal year, in July, we're still receiving some of our invoices and bills that will get then taken out of the fiscal 25 budget. Typically, the county goes through their annual auditing process, usually September, October. And then it isn't until November that we typically see the final amounts for the previous fiscal year. So what I really want to make note of is when you're looking at the various reports for revenue and expenses, please bear that in mind that that's not the final picture for fiscal 25. And so that will be subject to change.
So what you're saying is that things that were purchased or paid for in 2025 that still have information coming through will be taken out of that budget.
Correct. Yeah, so as part of the county's process, then they do journal entries or whatever accounting they do to rectify the end of the fiscal year. Typically, well, most departments have until I think it's the second Friday of August to submit anything for fiscal 25. However, because we are having our board meeting today, you won't be seeing anything else that will be taken out of fiscal 25 other than today's vouchers. So going forward, everything will be now fiscal 26.
Okay.
And also I think on a couple of your county reports, they may say unaudited, and that's the reason why they say unaudited until they finally reconcile the end of year amounts. So that's something I wanted to point out. In terms of income, we are still waiting to hear whether we received the Ready, Set, Go grant that we applied for with the Jackson Hole Fire EMS, and that grant was to help us with the fire mitigation project that we're doing, creating defensible spaces. We would be doing that at both locations. The work has already started here with Parks and Rec. However, we are still hoping that we will get the grant that would enable us to do more work here at the Jackson location. So keep your fingers crossed that we still have a possibility of getting that grant. In terms of the expenses, we do have a little bit of an unusual voucher. A few months ago, Diana Peck, Executive Director of the Teton County Library Foundation and Friends, discovered that a vendor that we both use, the library and the foundation uses to provide toners and so forth for the various multifunction machines and printers. Diana discovered that Dex was charging her foundation credit card. So at that time, we had to submit a voucher for reimbursement to the Foundation and Friends. After a lot of headaches, we thought we got it sorted out. Turns out we did get it sorted out for 1 month. And then last week, Diana discovered that they've been charging her credit card again. So there is, once again, unusual that we would give the Foundation and Friends a reimbursement, but that there is a voucher for that. And that amount was $1,232.17. So, going forward, I'm gonna make sure that we, on our end, really make sure that we are getting a Dex bill every month. And in fact, this month we did. So hopefully this has gotten straightened out again. The other higher expense this month, so a few months ago, I mentioned that Lindsay had contacted Pitney Bowes, who we use for our postage machine, to see if we could get a higher credit limit on our postage meter. So this month, in June, we did load a higher amount of postage to the Pitney Bowes machine. So therefore the voucher was much larger than what we typically have. So that amount was $4,960. And then in fiscal 25, the Foundation and Friends were also providing the library with reimbursement for interlibrary loan postage. So some months they were strictly paying the bill, just depending upon how that worked out. So going forward in fiscal 26, the library is fully paying the interlibrary loan postage through our operating costs. So I just wanted to point out that there's a usually higher voucher for Pitney Bowes. And then also when Peg came to sign the vouchers yesterday, she and I were looking at the bill, and there seemed to be an unusually high late fee charge. So I need to go look into Pitney Bowes and find out why they charged us a late fee. Because again, either the foundation has submitted funds every month or we have. So I'm gonna try and see if we can find out what that's all about and maybe get some sort of credit back. So and then I guess the other item to note is with the vouchers, we did have a couple of higher vouchers, higher expense vouchers. That was for Hunt Construction, which was part of what Rick Smith brought to you a month ago to have the asphalt redone here in the parking lot. So that voucher was submitted. So, but again, that was an approved expense a month or so ago, if it was at the June or May meeting. And then finally, the Board of County Commissioners, Teton County, Wyoming, in late June approved the county budget for fiscal 26. So that was provided to you, the final budget. It did indeed include some of the reductions that Kip and I brought to you in April when we had our special meeting to address some of the concerns that the county had in having to reduce funds. So the overall reduction from the original proposed budget, that overall reduction is $129,747. And we are hoping that with fiscal 27, we will be able to, fund back our capital reserves as we have had in the past, but since we're just starting fiscal 26, that's a ways off. Does anybody have any questions?
Estella, I was just wondering if you can give us kind of a quick, for me, I know, a reminder, I know you've talked about this before, I know we've talked about it before, but I'm just, could use a little refresher on the 30, the deposit with the state library, which is
Oh, sure.
like $36,000. So what is that and how is it used? And can you just remind me how that works?
Absolutely. So with the Wyoming State Library offers a program to member libraries called Central Acquisitions. And what that is you can have accounts with the state library that are allocated to each library. So it's not like a pooled account, like our account that we have with the state library is just Teton County Library funds. And part of that program is they can purchase supplies for materials like spine labels, barcodes, etc. They can purchase that for us. We tell them what we need. Also, the bigger amounts that you see, we also have an account with them for our books and our media. And the reason we have this account with them is both of our we have a main book vendor, Ingram, and then Midwest Tapes is our primary vendor for CDs, DVDs, and so forth. With the state library, they are able to get a slightly higher discount with Ingram and Midwest than we are on our own. So that's why about 4 years ago, we decided to have them go ahead and purchase our materials for us. Now, when I say purchase our materials, they're not choosing our titles. We're still choosing the titles and the items that we want to purchase. It's just that they literally submit the order to Ingram and Midwest. And they get to do all the invoicing, which is
Even better.
even better, yes. So what these amounts are is about every quarter, we send over a check to the state library. Those checks are actually part of our regular operating budget, so it's just like you can consider them a vendor that we just send a voucher to and a check to about every quarter. The other benefit to this central acquisitions program is that once the state has that money, it can't be touched. It is truly just Teton County Library's funds. So that money that's there is truly just our money. Also, we discovered that we also do make interest on the accounts that they have. So periodically, I might show that there's an interest amount accrued. I was gonna add something and it just escaped me.
I know what
Yes, please.
unlike if the funds had stayed in the library's operating budget, it would be use or lose at the end of the fiscal year. When the money is on deposit at the state library, it rolls over year to year. And so we end up sometimes having a surplus every year. So should we ever face budget cuts in terms of materials or something, we'll have some funds to fall back on there.
I mean, and of course, the goal would be, as with any account, to spend down the funds that were allocated every year, but as you can see, at least as of July 11th, that hadn't been done. I remembered what I was also going to state. So this is a report that I put together based upon a report that Susan Centrella, the collection services manager, sends me every month. It's much more detailed, so I'm giving you the bird's eye view. But the reason I had started doing this report is at some point it occurred to me that you as the board, once those funds are gone, you're not seeing how they're being allocated. So that's why I created this report at some point, just so that you can see every month how those funds over at the state are moving.
So right now we have $36,000 in the state account.
Correct, unless they've paid any invoices
Right.
like in the last,
Yeah,
yeah, but essentially. And you, does that answer that, Marilyn?
Yeah, great. Thank you very much.
Sure.
oh, me. Okay, do we want to move on to, consideration of, library vouchers?
Sure, I move to approve payment of library vouchers amount of $93,992.22. A second.
So, any, discussion? Okay, 93,992.20.
22.
Oh, 922.
93992.22. Lots of twos.
Oh, lots of twos, and twos. Okay, could I have a motion to approve the payment of library vouchers?
A motion to second.
Okay. I didn't put that in.
You just need a
I,
vote.
I,
All in favor? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
All right. Vouchers are gonna be paid. Kip, you have a monthly report that's supposedly shorter.
It's not really shorter, but it is. I will add a few things that I didn't have time to add in typing. Stella mentioned the fire mitigation, grant. She also mentioned that some of the work is going on right now. If you walk around the building, you'll see a lot of bare ground now. Because people will be concerned when they see plants and trees and bushes gone. We have created some signage, educational signage, explaining why we're doing what we're doing. And I believe Chris has mounted those out in several places around the building. So hopefully that alleviates some people's concerns. I don't think people want to see the library burned down.
Right.
So, also, another grant, I haven't read the grant in detail yet, but back in in 2022, the Brooklyn Public Library started a program called Books Unbanned, which provides digital library cards to teens across the country, to be able to access, young adult materials in their collection. Especially in places where, the materials may not be readily available or, restricted in their home library. A handful of other libraries have, also joined the program. I know Seattle Public has. Brooklyn has decided they wanted to try and spread some of that, the effect across the country, especially to rural libraries. So they're offering programming grants up to $10,000. And what they're saying, they're seeking partners who can help us achieve our goal of building a network of teens to become the next generation of library advocates and champions for the freedom to read. And Julie Tobias and our new youth services manager, and Matt George, the team program coordinator, submitted a grant as of yesterday application as of yesterday afternoon. The deadline, I believe, is tomorrow, so we're a little ahead of the game. And so hopefully we'll hear some good news in a couple of weeks on that.
What was the amount?
I don't know what, I haven't seen, they haven't sent me the copy yet, so somewhere between $2,000 and $10,000.
Thank you.
Brooklyn Public Library will review the first round of applications, and then as a member of the Association of Rural and Small Libraries Grants, Awards, and Scholarships Committee, I get to review. Our committee will be reviewing and recommending the winners, so I will have to recuse myself if we get that far along, but that'll be fun. So, yeah. Another thing I wanted to mention was Julie and I went to Fort Collins last week for a 2-day training presented by the Harwood Institute. And because I can't summarize it as well as they can, I will read you what we were learning. We learned how change happens and unfolds in a community. We learned to develop ways to engage people in our community and what matters to them, discern where our community is starting so you can take the right actions, and identify how you can show up more intentionally in your life and work. The workshop was really, really inspiring. There was a lot of enthusiasm in the room. We had librarians, mostly from Colorado and the Fort Collins area, but also from Laramie County was there. So we learned some exercises that will start first with maybe the leadership team at the library and try and find a core group here in the library where we can really take it out into the community and find out one, what the community expects from the library, but also what the community needs in general. A lot of the examples were how the library and some communities ended up leading community-wide change. So it was fun. So hopefully see what happens.
So sort of kind of pump you up
Yes,
trainings.
yes. And now I'll bring you down. Let's see if I can find it. I want to give you the exact date.
Kip, do you mind if I just add,
Sure.
I shared with, I probably haven't shared with the new board members, but I did do a webinar based on our space planning exercises and, you know,
Okay.
having a change in things. What I enjoyed about the webinar, and I should, there were a few really simple things that we could consider doing that are very cost effective, that I think might help with some of our space planning challenge. Simple things like hooks under the table that hang your bag and
Yes.
little things like that. So I shared that, I'll share it together too. But I just wanted to add on in the positive, to
Yes.
have those little community things can make a really big difference.
Yeah, thanks for sending me.
The downer news. The interim session of the Wyoming legislature continues on August 12th in Casper. And at 3 o'clock, the Legislative Service Office overview of library online materials and platforms will be discussed, whether or not we need to have age restriction on accessing research databases, Libby, all of that. It's a little strange. And then following that discussion, they still have yet to release the draft of the bill, but the obscenity bill, which is, we do know that they've dropped obscenity as their focus and are now looking at sexually explicit, which is vague, undefinable, and much more broad. So they have supposedly moved from, they couldn't decide who they would jail for checking out materials. Would it be the person who selected the material? Would it be the library director? Would it be the person who checked out the book to someone? So they decided that they would have a hefty fine on the institution itself. So that's sort of where we're at. If I'll send everybody the details, but they are accepting online testimony. So if anybody's available at 3 o'clock or 3:30 on August 12th and wants to testify or speak in support of libraries, you'll be able to register online, and I'll send that out to the board.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
So I did watch the video you sent, thank you. Is it appropriate to speak on behalf of our board? If all 5 of us,
If all 5
Come
of you
together.
did, yes. The difficulty is that you'd have to have a meeting to
right,
arrange that. So we could arrange for a special meeting where
Okay.
you did come together and do that, or you're certainly free to speak on your own as a as a board member. You
Do
can,
you think speaking on behalf of the full board would be given significantly more weight in their eyes? Might it be worth the effort?
I don't.
I-
think so.
we spent a lot of time in the legislative committee on Monday discussing any approach, and currently we're taking the logical, legal, library ethics side of things, which makes sense to us. They're taking the fear, emotional approach to things, and we're just, they don't hear us. So we need to figure out an emotional way in, because they don't care if it's constitutional or not. They don't care if it's illegal. They're finding there was a just I can't think of what kind of court it is. 3 states, including district court, federal court, made a ruling from a case in Texas, and the ruling only applies to 3 states. But they're clinging on to, well, that's what they said for that, so we can do it. But they really can't, but they are anyway. So it doesn't, there's no logic, there's no, it's all just fear and emotion, and
In control.
so, I mean, until we can figure out how to talk to them,
Right.
and in a different way, we're gonna get what we get.
Well, I'd love to have representation at that meeting, and I'd love for one of us to make public comment, even if it's disregarded, and I just think for the principle of the point and to have
Yes.
presence there, so I know I'm still figuring things out with not speaking as a group if it's not formal
We can
for
speak,
forum.
we can speak personally
Yes,
outside of our roles as library board members.
okay,
Which I do believe in this case might well be more effective. Get people to look at it. And the more people we can each individually get to make public comment, the better off we're gonna be. I think if it's board, if we act as a board, they're gonna immediately write us off. Because we are the board of the library in Teton County, and they hate Teton County.
yeah, well, I'd still love for us.
It would be nice if at least one person would speak. They truly believe that libraries, the materials in the library, the librarians are harming children in Wyoming. There's absolutely no evidence. You can ask, you can tell them, you can show them, and they still make the claim. Even though in the same breath, they will tell you a story of how much they love taking their grandchild to the library or something. And what a great experience it is. And then they'll turn around and say, we have harmed them, with no evidence. And they're gonna do what they are gonna do.
If one of us goes to make a public comment, is there gonna be an actual meeting at which a public comment can be made, or is this all?
It's a hearing, and you can go in person or you can be on Zoom, and you can, you have to register,
Okay.
as a speaker.
Speaker. But if
And
more,
whether they get to you or not, I don't know,
but you can also do written comment. I mean,
yes, and I can send you
Yeah.
the committee and
Yeah.
the members, and you can email them.
But if more than one of us were to try to be speakers, that isn't quite right, right?
No, you're speaking as yourself.
If you're speaking as yourself, it doesn't matter. But if you're speaking as a board member,
I think we're saying you don't speak as a board member. You can say you are a. board
You can say
member,
you
but
are,
You're not speaking on behalf.
I get it,
right,
You're
I get it.
speaking as an.
That makes sense.
And I will say we
Semantics.
wrote the letters prior.
Yes.
When it was an issue, but then it got tabled. And the letter, the return letter was absurd.
Mhm.
It literally was. awful.
Is there any way, maybe it's in the team's files, but I'd love to look at those letters since I'm learning the language and I'd love to see the angle that you took.
I don't think we have, I think everybody sent individually, so maybe if you could forward what you.
Thank you.
I can send you what I sent.
I really
What I
appreciate
should-
that.
I intend to comment and if anyone else signs up to comment and plans to, it might be a good idea for us to share our comments with each other so that we can make as succinctly each make a building sort of argument, I guess, argument. Just so that we're not both saying the same thing or all of us saying the same thing in our public comments. I plan to sign up. So if anyone else wants to communicate with me about that, maybe we could coordinate a little bit.
Do so individually, don't do a group email.
Yeah, we have to go to,
Exactly, individually, personally, this is our, and yeah, and I like the idea that I will comment as Mary Lee White, member or chair of the Teton County Library Board.
Okay, I'll try to get all of this out today in an email to you.
Excellent.
The last thing I have is, just a little update on property tax reform and how it's affecting libraries across the state. You've seen in our budget, we did reduce our budget a bit. It's mostly invisible this year to anyone. That said, that's not the case across the state. Lincoln County had a substantial cut. They will no longer have evening library hours in their county. They are closing 2 or 3 branches on Saturdays because of the cuts, so they're losing staff. Some counties similar to us, very minor or invisible reductions. Carbon County has a 53% cut in their budget. They have 7 branches across the county, so they are likely to lose probably most of their branches aside from their main one in Rollins is my guess. She's really not sure how they can move forward. That kind of cut. Fremont County, was asked to cut $300,000 out of their budget, which I don't know what the percentage is, but it was substantial. They were able to, and they do what they did, but they asked their foundation to contribute $100,000 toward operations. I think that's a bad move because the county will say the foundation can continue to do that. But that was the decision they made. They also had revenue from a windfall of, I don't know if it was minerals or oil a few years ago. So they had a reserve fund that they tapped to make up that other difference. Every library is very concerned about next year because there's a ballot initiative that we all get to vote on whether or not we want to reduce our property taxes by another 20%.
but our property taxes are not high.
Oh, what?
Well. I
The
mean,
percentage you pay is not
I know.
high, but the amount you pay because of your
You know, like,
assessed value.
I lived in New York for 20, 30 years, so they're not high.
But across the state, that's the perception and, so we may see another reduction of 25%. There been no movement on this other piece, but a couple of months ago, somebody from the Freedom Caucus said that, based on what he understood from the Constitution, property taxes are unconstitutional and should not exist at all. And so they were looking at a consumable tax to implement. And so the most regressive form of taxation possible may or may not be considered as well. So at least there would be backfill for the lost property taxes, but there, I think they said it would take about a 12% consumable tax across the board to make up for that. So I don't know where we're going. But just be aware, the legislative committee are on, so we'll have updates as they happen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kip.
Sure.
I have another question. I don't know much about this. Are there private libraries? Of course there are. Is this
Mostly
it's
in-
gonna become privatized eventually? I'm just
There's-
curious.
There's two types, I guess. There's subscription libraries that were very popular before public libraries, I guess. So Boston Athenaeum, the Providence Athenaeum, there's something in New York that are private subscription libraries. And then as library funding, especially from during the last big that big recession in 2009 or whatever, a lot of libraries, people didn't see the value of libraries, so they didn't fund them, or they turned them over to a for-profit company, library LLS. I don't know what it stands for, something library services.
Remember, yeah.
But so they outsource their county or town libraries to a for-profit corporation who comes in and cuts wages. It's not a very effective model, but it does continue to provide some library services.
There are several libraries in Southern California that are doing LLIS.
And then right now, there are a couple of library districts in Oregon that just shuttered their doors, and communities have come together and volunteers run whatever books were left on the shelves, and volunteers do story times and things. And so it's not the nicest situation.
Yeah, trend is not healthy, so just trying to think ahead.
Okay,
Okay.
any other questions about the report?
No more questions for Kip. Let's move on to Diana. Teton County Library Foundation and Friends Report.
Good morning. Thank you so much. I sent you an attachment in your report that shows we just approved the funding for fiscal year 26 for the library. We're very excited. And you can see that the total asks for fiscal year 26 are $684,133. You received a workbook with all the various line items from the various departments that outline what the specific requests are for. So this was a vote that the Foundation and Friends Board made yesterday. So we're thrilled to share that is the commitment for fiscal year 26. You will also see our spending report for fiscal year 25 to date. So this report is not comprehensive. We have a handful of credit card expenses to enter. It's probably less than $10,000. So the figure of $554,853 for this fiscal year 25 will only increase slightly. So you can see on this budget versus actual that the library is slightly underspent on this year's budget. And that is just due to a few large items that are rolling over. into fiscal year 26 for timing reasons. They just simply weren't executed this year, but they'll be done coming up in fiscal year 26. And so I guess I'll first ask if anyone has any questions about the budgets and the expenses for this year and next.
Thank
I
you for
just want to
presenting
say,
such a great report.
Thank you.
yeah, and I wanted to say it's really interesting to see all the ways that the foundation augments the library budget and just allows us to be, have that extra special programming that makes us such a great library. It's a wonderful collaboration. Thank you very much.
Agree. We're just thrilled when we look at all the various programs and look at the ways that the library and the librarians impact our community in such positive and creative ways. It's inspiring. And so we're really excited to see the programs in the coming year and to share those with you. So thank you. Just some other just real quick fun announcements about the Foundation and Friends. We do have a plan for our upcoming volunteer appreciation event we talked about with you last month. We have an official date of Friday, August the 15th at 6 p.m. pending the library and the board's approval for an after hours event at the library. Once we have an approval, we will be sending out invitations this week. So we just ask that you tentatively hold that spot on your calendar. And then we also want to share we have a new board member that has joined the Foundation and Friends. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Shauna Lockhart. She's been a great contributor over the past couple of years as a member of our events committee, and we're really excited about her advancing to become a member of the board. And that's pretty much, I think, it for my extra announcements.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'd like to echo Mary Lee's comment. Thank you for all you and your team do. It's really incredible to see written out here. This might be more for a conversation offline, but I'd just be curious if someone on the library board here speaks and thanks you and your constituency at this volunteer appreciation party. So if that's not, if that hasn't happened, okay. If it feels appropriate, great. But I definitely personally feel like that might be nice.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Appreciate that so much.
And Diana and I have talked about sort of, I don't know, bringing back some roles that have been lost over the last several years between the foundation and the board. So we'll come forward with something more formal at some point, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Diana.
Thank you.
Let's move on to nomination of election of officers for the coming year. Fiscal year 26. Does anybody want to talk about this first, or can I just make a motion and have you all approve it? Make a motion. Okay,
It looks like Kip had
you have the
Oh,
question.
no, I'm just holding my hand.
Would somebody
I
else
don't
like to
know.
make a motion?
I so move, to nominate for 1-year terms, Mary Lee White for chair, Vicky Rosenberg for vice chair, Elizabeth Robach for secretary, and Peg Gilday for treasurer.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I'll second.
Oh, right, second, thanks, Peg. Any discussion? Anybody opposed? All in favor?
I
I did that backwards too.
All right, Mary Lee, you get to take over the meeting now.
Oh, boy, oh, boy. All right, now we're ready to consider the resolution adopting the fiscal year 2026 board meeting schedule. Kip, do you have anything that you want to tell us about that?
Two things. The date that we had for the last fiscal year as the second Thursday often proved a little difficult to have financial records and everything available for you in a timely manner. So from Stella and my standpoint, we wanted to move to the third week. And so I did put it out in an email to the 5 members of the board, and everybody said they offered all of their options, and it turns out that the third Thursday was something that would work for everyone, per their emails back to me. So that is what this schedule is based on. We have typically had 3 months where we don't meet in a regular meeting, but just pay vouchers. And so you'll see that reflected December because of the Christmas holidays, April because of spring break, even though it's kind of over by the time we would have a third Thursday meeting. And it had been September normally, but I chose October this year because I'm on vacation.
Good for you.
So,
I'm on vacation in October. But probably not that week. Not that it matters.
so that is what we have. And so the third Thursday of the month at 9:30.
Thank you for 9:30, by the way. 9 o'clock in traffic is terrible.
I did in my email to everybody say that in an ideal world, we'd like to have as much public participation. That we did try late afternoon or late evening hour last 2 years ago, that didn't prove very successful. I will say that since Miles isn't here today, he did say that he would like to see an evening meeting, just be hoping that it would draw more people, but that's not where we landed this year.
All right, thanks, Kip. Does anybody have any other questions for Kip or comments? In that case, hopefully I gave enough time for anybody to speak up. Would someone like to make a motion?
I move to pass the resolution adopting the fiscal year 26 library board meetings, board of directors meeting schedule as presented and discussed.
I second.
Thank you, Vicky. And was that Peg? Who seconded?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, thank you. The motion passed. And we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, the replacement upgrade of staff and public computers, hardware revamp.
We have to vote first, Mary Lee.
Oh, yeah, all in favor? Motion passed, thank you. All right, replacement upgrade of staff and public computers, hardware revamp. Kip?
I'm going to turn it over to Timo Silva, our IT
Morning,
administrator.
everyone. For those that are utilizing, I think, the digital copy of the staff report, here is our copy of the Zoom line. I would need this.
Thank you.
If you actually look on the last page, you will actually see the scoring that I actually underwent with our vendors here. So roughly for the last 3 to 4 months, I've been reaching out to IT solution partners to replace our hardware in our building. Windows 10 is officially donezo. With that, security updates and free patches, anything like that. What that means is, as a government organization, we have to upgrade. We have to move forward. It is not only to meet ISO IEC standards, it also is for federal government compliance. So ultimately, in the last few months, I've been reaching out to, as I said, solution partners. If you actually then now look at the back page, you can actually see the scoring that I actually underwent with them. So it was conformance with submission requirements. So were they actually recommending things that I was asking for and so forth. And then you've got obviously estimated project costs. So originally through, I think it was roughly about 2 years ago, we did forecast for this project about $70,000. That was 2 years ago. That was obviously prior to world events. Ultimately, what I was able to do is set a ceiling with all of these vendors at roughly $80,000, because I thought that was a fairly reasonable amount for inflation and whatnot. All three of the vendors did come back roughly around there, except to one of them, CDWG, which was roughly, I think, almost $3,800 more. And then the last scoring was communication, and this is a big one for me. It was very, very difficult with two of the vendors to just have a constant communication of, hey, what about this? And they would recommend it back. Ultimately, even though the scoring was not huge for the weight, it was still a deciding factor in choosing CCB Technologies. The reason being is they've always supported, they've always emailed me, they've always communicated. They were one of the only vendors actually out of the 4 total I actually reached out to that adjusted the quote a week ago, knowing that I was meeting today. So just to make sure that they had inventory, they had the correct pricing, or if anything increased. Ultimately, I'm here to ask the board's approval to award the bid for, I think it was 80,000. That's it. Thank you. 80,477 to CCB Technologies. After this process, if we do award it to CCB, obviously there's going to be a little bit of process for net 30 terms or some type of contract agreement, which I will then partner with Kip and Stella to complete the process.
Great, thank you for
You
your work
worked
on
hard, buddy.
Yeah.
Questions?
Such a-
Thank you.
I mean, to have a scoring sheet.
Partly, thanks to my team member, Rick.
Hey, all right.
So yeah,
Is this?
All right, thanks, James. Does,
it is capital, yeah, so it is capital improvement. Yeah, this is the ones every 5 years you get to see me up here.
all right, that seems pretty clear. Are there any more questions for James? Any more comments? All right, would someone like to entertain a motion?
I'll move that the board approve the award of the bid for the hardware revamp project to CCB Technology in the amount of $80,477 to be funded from our capital reserves.
Is there a
Second.
second? Thank you, Peg. The motion has been, we've been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion has
Anybody
passed.
opposed?
What?
Anybody opposed? That's,
All right, the motion has passed. And we will move on to the next agenda item.
thanks, people.
Yeah, thanks, James. Award of the contract for EV project design. Yeah, who's going to report to us about that?
I will.
Oh, Eric, I didn't see you at the table.
No, Aaron, with support from these guys. Eric Kimball, Sustainability Coordinator for Teton County. And this staff report is for the DOT CFI grant, which the library is a subrecipient of. This is for approval of design of the site. And I stand for any questions or any background.
My question is, what is the contract amount that isn't in our motion?
So the library from the reserve fund has committed $25,000 for matching funds, and then the library foundation and friends have committed $25,000 as well. And then the federal government has put in, it says 200,000, it's actually $201,000, it's 600. So I apologize for that error on there. But it's a reimbursement system. So the 25,000 will come out of the library budget, and then we'll be asking the foundation, which they've already pre-approved for the additional $1,000 to cover the cost of design. And then after we've done billing, we will submit on a quarterly basis for reimbursement. And I'm not sure if they will reimburse us, the 80% back for every project, or wait until we utilize our match and then reimburse us after. But we've adapted a pretty aggressive timeline on this project, for two reasons, and mostly they have to do with the big beautiful bill. One is there's a worry, this grant has never been suspended, it was executed prior to this administration. So it's just been ongoing ever since, which is wonderful. But we are worried, of course, in the future that could change. So we do want to make sure that we're spending the money and getting the projects done now, rather than the original grant agreement, which was within, I think, 3 years of submittal. And then the other reason is that, with the big beautiful bill, the federal tax credits, are going to end. So as with EV charging, we can actually get a portion of our match, up to all our match. I don't want to make any promises on the amount the government will give us back. And as we were crafting the timeline, the talk out of Washington was that things would need to be in the ground by the end of December this year and operational and commissioned. So we were working off that timeline. When they finally passed the bill, it actually became June 30th, 2026. So if projects are in the ground by then, we can apply for a tax rebate for our portion. So we're still working under the timeline of trying to have it done this calendar year. So that's why it's such an aggressive timeline. We're going to be trying to do this by, I believe, August 1st was our original date. This meeting was backed up a week, so I believe we're looking at August 7th for them to have design complete, and then we're directly into bidding out for construction.
Okay, thanks, Eric. And you presented at our last meeting as well, so other than Elizabeth, I think everybody's pretty up to speed on this project. Would someone like to entertain a motion to move this project forward?
I so move that the EV project design contract to
If you actually look at the staff report for this.
Yeah.
I have it.
oh, thank you. Oh, I have to. Well, if someone wants to step in since you're faster, I'll learn.
Yeah.
It came in after the agenda had been.
I'll second it.
Okay, I don't see the, my teams is not.
I have it pulled up.
I'm looking at the proposal.
Here's a hard copy of. Staff work, just a motion at the bottom.
I move to approve the community fueling project design contract to West Plains Engineering to, and approve the amount of $25,000 using library capital reserves, account number 20-4-0-910-000.
I second it.
Well done, Peggy. Thank you, Elizabeth. All in favor of the motion?
I do have a couple questions. Can we have discussion first?
Oh yes, are there questions and
Yeah.
discussion? Thanks,
I'm
Peg.
really-
We should just
I'm
do
really
this.
worried We're gonna get halfway here and then we're gonna lose the funding, honestly. And so I love the idea of pushing forward. Will we find out pretty quickly if we're able to move forward with the design, and then how much quickly thereafter we can move forward to the construction with the nature of construction in Teton County? So those are I'm really quite concerned that we're gonna get halfway down the road, but maybe not even, and not have this funding available.
Which is why we're so aggressive, because I'm nervous about that as well. So the only thing that is a slowing point in terms of the federal process on this is that during this design process, we have to submit a NEPA categorical exclusion document, which in the past has been pretty quick and easy step, because we're not destroying the wetlands, we're not taking down the buildings or anything of that nature. So it should just be a rubber stamp within a few days. And the current administration has actually tried to roll back NEPA, or is in the process of rolling back NEPA. So that should also make it a quick and easy process, but like there's always the possibility that they would use that as a hold up in the grant process. Other than that, We just continue to move forward with our timeline, which is really being more restricted on the county side by, we have to post it in paper for 2 weeks, we have to put it out for 2 weeks to bid. So that's the timeline we're kind of working through. So those are the only things that are slowing it down. If we don't receive any construction bids to be able to work on it in the fall, then it will just slow down more. Great to do it.
I do, and this is actually a portion of the project. So when we do this exercise, we get through this, we get the design completed and construction documents and bid documents completed. That'll be something, that's a deliverable we have, and it'll be good. It'll be good later. It is. Even though, I don't know about reimbursement stuff, but we have committed 25,000 to this project. Looking at the long term, and then the foundation also did. Now, this is a $26,000 contract, so we need the $1,000 foundation to be approved. But I think that's already been arranged. So we will get, what we'll end up with is something we can use in the future, whether it's this year or years down the road. It's engineering. It might just be some tightening up for codes and such if it pushes them.
So I'm all up for it conceptually. I just feel that the library and the foundation need to be protected. Is it possible that the funding happens up front from the federal and that the library and it just seems to me we are taking a big risk. And that $25,000 is a lot of money from each of the organizations. It's just a suggestion. It may not be legal. I just want to make sure this thing moves forward enough that we're not jeopardizing funding, and then have somebody sit on the shelf. I don't know if that's possible.
I don't disagree with any of your concerns. In a normal world, we wouldn't have that concern. Right,
So I attend the Urban Sustainability Directors Network meetings, and one of those is a federal funding meeting. And their advice and the advice of lawyers for good government is to move forward. That if you don't move forward with the necessary steps, then they will cancel the grants. Which is why we're very locked in with what charger types we're getting, because that had it been a different administration, we could have massaged what we liked in terms of the chargers, but we're trying to keep exactly the spec and move forward. And that's been the advice from both those groups and from our contact at the Department of Transportation or Federal Highway Administration.
Yeah, and I agree to that. What I'm wondering is if the funding, the last $50,000 can happen when this thing moves forward as opposed to currently. Does that make sense? It's kind of like I'm gonna say, a donor match. I'm gonna say, if I can get $100,000 in the door from wherever, then I'll fill in the last 25,000 or 50,000. So that's my question. I don't know if it's legal. I don't know what the ramifications are. There could still be an agreement to say, keep moving forward, but we don't actually transfer the funds to this use until it's complete almost. I mean, or some 90% or whatever the number is. You guys might need, lawyer to look at it or something, but I just want to be sure both, and that's for the foundation, I'm not on the foundation board, they may not agree, but I feel pretty strongly that we need to find some way that we're not spending 25 now and this thing doesn't move forward. What happens if?
Let's ask Diana. Diana, is there a mechanism for us to request funds in the future for something like this from the foundation as what amounts to a capital expense?
In excess of 25,000, is that what you're asking, or for the
Yes.
amount that we've already committed to?
Timing of paying the amount is the question.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
time, absolutely. I think this has already been a commitment and a voted yes by the board. That's why we were able to roll it from fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 26. We just consider it it's just a pause, so it doesn't need to go up for approval again. So the concept has already been approved, and I think what I'm hearing from you, it sounds like a really common sense, conservative approach and not taking a risk by putting money up front when you don't have guarantee support. But yeah, I don't see any reason why we would need to go in for another reapproval when that's already occurred.
Right, so my question
I think
isn't the commitment, it's when the commitment is met.
and I think that's the language in the grant, who we pony up first, is that
That
how
is,
it's?
yes, you
Whose money first?
quarterly,
Whose money?
you submit quarterly reimbursement requests, and then they process them. But
I don't know, it's a,
I think that's what the kind of
Things
thing is,
change,
that
they-
we don't do it so that they don't have to fund it. If we, that,
But you can still commit to actually physically have to have the money to move this, you actually have the money in the bank, and does anything come back if it doesn't move forward? I mean, my crystal ball, this is not really positive right now with what we're seeing being asked every day, so I appreciate everything, I'm not in disagreement with the way you're proceeding, I'm just trying to protect the funds. Or if you get halfway through it, does the library get half back? I don't know, it just feels to me like you could end up spending money and then not having any attention.
Is there a contingency plan? And it's great that you are, licensed or what you were explaining, right?
Yeah, we'll get a deliverable from this that we could use down the road. If there is risk there, but the agreement with the grant is that we have to have actually spent the money before we apply to get return.
Right.
Credit.
Yeah.
So yes, there's risk, and they're all good questions. Wish I had the answers.
So we could break ground, for example, and then find out we don't have the funding.
and if that were to happen, there'd be a greater lawsuit.
Yeah.
And we'll find
It's such a
it.
deal, but
Yeah, this is about design concept and construction documents that can then be put out to bid. And then when we get the bids back, so we're gonna have at least a couple of months to reassess the situation before we actually award a contract for construction and go to, and start taking.
but we need money to get those documents in place,
Correct.
right? Yeah. But only part of them.
26,000 is what we agreed to in the contract is that. There may be there are some contingencies, there's be more site visits, and some other stuff, but I feel our team, talked about this, vetting things out pretty well, I believe that, bid amount was pretty solid.
I
Where-
personally feel like the project is too far down the road for the library to withdraw their support right now. And I think we need to have a little faith. And if things go badly, we'll problem solve at that point. That's my position.
because this grant was county-wide or whatever, where are the other components of the project?
so the grant is the main recipient is actually the town of Jackson. And then both the libraries separately listed as a subrecipient, and the county is also separately listed as a subrecipient. So in the county, right now, the Stilson Transit Center actually is part of this for the EV charging that's going to occur there. That is currently in design build as well, as part of that project and asking for reimbursement. The other sites are still not 100% determined. We have several, potentially the administration building, the public health building, a few other sites, potentially a multimodal like hub that would not be at a facility. It's also on the table with private partners that might be just slowly to that goal. All of these will, you don't have to wait for all of these to be done to ask for reimbursement. Each project asks for reimbursement. Other partners include the airport, Teton Village Association, and some concessionaires in both Yellowstone and Teton National Parks. And they're all at different stages of development for this project. So a lot of us are attempting to have our projects done this fiscal year.
So the commissioners have moved the Stilson piece forward.
The Stilson piece has moved forward. The other sites will need to go through the normal process.
Whether we want to trust the commissioner's decision or not, I think that's,
So they're
They're-
fronting their money first.
Yeah.
As would we, okay, the county is.
Yeah.
Okay.
The rest are waiting from us.
So well, Stilson's on a similar trajectory. I believe
Oh, is that county funding?
the county.
No, it's still, yeah, so the
Uh,
county can fund, ideas, the library can fund, foundation, fund those projects. Got it.
And I'm working on trying to have the final site and go to this this exact step on campus, the other campsites that are hostas.
All right, are there any more questions for Eric?
Is it appropriate to ask Kip what your opinion is on moving forward or not? You can first say it's not appropriate or.
I think given where we are in the process right now, and if we follow what county is doing with Stilson, I think we should move forward. As Rick said, it's not a loss. We will have a document that will let us do it in the future if there's a different administration or grant, or if we get funding somehow, some other way. So we're not losing anybody, regardless. We just may or may not see the end result at this time, but the hope is that we will, and I think. Yeah, I have, that's what Mary Lee said, have some faith that it will continue. I would move forward.
Yeah, I want to be clear, I'm not saying shouldn't commit, I'm saying there's no fine print. There's no contingency,
No.
so we say this today, it's spent essentially for a design that may or may not be useful now or in the future. We think it will be, but we know things change, technology changes, so I just want to be clear that that's my thought, it's not a minimum knowledge.
And much of this, when it comes to technology, the actual service, adding the electrical service, adding the conduits, digging the holes, running them, bringing them stuff up. If appliances change for technology, then we can reevaluate. But so, yeah, those other items should be hard and fast for a very long time.
Thank you guys so much for this question.
It's a tough one, I wish I didn't have to ask them. I'm not feeling good, so.
No, I think it's a really important discussion and, yeah, very good question. And that's just where we're at in the world right now. It's like so much uncertainty. It's very hard to move forward with projects. So I appreciate the concern and, but I do think that we're ready for a motion. Is there someone who would like, I'll go ahead and make the motion. I move that the board approve the award bid. Wait, I move that the EV project design contract.
I
What?
think we were ready for a vote.
Oh,
We
we've
and
made the
discussed.
motion. We're on the motion. Okay, we're ready for a vote. All in favor? Anyone opposed? The motion passes. And thank you very much, Eric and Rick. We will keep our fingers crossed and move forward with the project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And do you need a signature today?
We do, and that's the contract I sent you from West.
Okay,
Yes, that, and they have signed it and it's ready, or with the board signature, whoever signs it.
okay.
Yeah.
You'll have to stop by my office.
Yeah. Can I add something? I'll be taking the vouchers over, so I can take that over to you later.
So is that a voucher that needs to be signed? That wasn't in our vouchers?
No, it's not a voucher, it's the contract.
Right, I'll be taking the vouchers to the county.
Got it, thank you.
Okay.
All right, it looks like we are going to have a public hearing to consider the proposed library use policy and rules. And in order to open our public hearing, we need to have a motion. Would someone like to please make that motion?
Or I move to close the public hearing,
The one above
close the adoption.
The one above that.
I'm sorry, oh, wrong one, I move. Oh,
To open,
well, that's what this suggestion says.
there's two of them.
Right, so we're opening it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I move to open a public hearing for the purpose. The purpose of hearing comment on revised library use policy and rules.
A second.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we're in a
Thank
public
you.
hearing.
Wait, we have a vote on it.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Elizabeth and Peg. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, Kip.
And now I can
Wait,
close it.
there is no public comment here. We did not receive any written or email comments on the policy change, so, now you can do your.
Now I move to close. Post adoption, the revised library use policy and rules.
I second.
Well done. All
Not
right.
even comment.
All in favor of ending our public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone not in favor? Thank you. The motion passes and we'll move on to adoption of the proposed library use policy and rules. Kip,
Sure, minor change to the library use policy and rules to allow eating in the library. We're dropping two rules. One, food is not allowed in a library facilities except the lobby or at library sanctioned events. And beverages in covered containers may be carried and consumed in the library. We're dropping those two and adding responsible consumption of food and or covered non-alcoholic beverages is allowed in public areas of the library unless otherwise posted. Consuming food or beverages in a manner that creates an unclean environment, attracts insects or vermin, disrupts other patrons, or is harmful to library resources is not permitted. Patrons are expected to clean up after themselves and to immediately report spills to staff. So that is the new language that will be in the policy. And I guess, yeah, any questions? I don't know.
any questions for Kip? I actually have a question. So what was the impetus for this? And I just want to make sure that staff are comfortable with this. Are they perceiving this as just a more opportunity for conflict or extra work, or is everybody on board with this?
As noted in the staff report, there's been long time inconsistent enforcement of the rules. Some people allow food, will ignore people eating. Some people will force you to go out to the lobby if you're eating. And that creates more conflict than anything. People are hiding food, possibly spilling or whatever. So, and it's more common that libraries allow eating than not. So just becoming more consistent with what the norm is in other libraries. I'm sure individually, everybody has their own opinion. But I think most people probably support this change because then they don't have to enforce the no eating rule. Unless it's something egregious, like a big greasy pizza or something.
I have a question for Peg. Okay. Just curious, since you were the architect of this building and obviously have extensive experience with spaces that are used by the public, do you have any hesitations about this, any concerns?
Yeah, I've shared them at the last board meetings. I do. I think we're gonna have to increase our budget. These guys don't think so, but I think we should say, let's watch things for a year. If we have more hard surfaces, maybe not, but I think you'll probably see. I hope I'm wrong on that one. So that's my only concern. I shared that. I do understand why the changes are.
And I countered and I don't like to dispute that, but the practice that I've seen in other libraries is it hasn't caused any major problem. And I'm sure Stella has. That it's not.
Now, but the thing is, other libraries, did they actually allow it? Cause people sneak food in.
That's when you get the mess. Oh, the librarian's coming. I've got to hide my sandwich.
spill my coffee on the table.
I think it'll be interesting to give it a go, and it probably will. I mean, if there is impact, it'll come to our attention pretty quickly, I think. And so I'm in support of this motion, and I would go ahead and move to approve the resolution adopting the revised library use policy and rules as presented in the staff report with an effective date of July 17th, 2025. Any questions or more comments on the motion?
My only question would be, do we add a clause or make a note, for example, ensuring that at the July 2026 meeting, we not reassess to change it, but just like making sure we don't forget about this, making sure that when we are looking at actual expenses for that. Is there a way that we can do that, Kip?
It's in the recording
I mean,
that we discussed it.
I don't know when the cleaning contract is up. It's 2 years again. So it won't be until 2027. That they might say, oh, we've seen this, so, we won't know the impact. right
Okay,
away.
so it's a flat rate every month.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
and is now, or there will be cleaning kits at the front desks, for patrons to take and clean up their mess should they make one.
I think we'll know if it is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand
Yeah.
better. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I'll second in that case.
It's a little hard to hear online. Peg, did you just second the motion?
Elizabeth did.
Oh, Elizabeth did. Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you. Capital Reserve Fund allocation, Kip?
Sure, hang on here, I gotta find my right document. Okay, every year we receive in our operating funds, an amount, that gets transferred to our capital reserve fund. Normally it's been, or historically, it's been $150,000. As we discussed earlier, that was one of the items that we opted to reduce in this fiscal year. So we have $50,000, and the motion would be to transfer that out of operating funds into the capital reserve fund.
And is that $50,000 reflected in the fiscal year 2026 budget that we just looked at, that we were just presented?
Yes, that's what was the approved budget that the commissioners ultimately approved.
Okay.
Oh,
Kip, the report seems to be reversed with the interest report.
oh no.
On link on the agenda, is the link is going to the capital reserve fund. It's
Right.
interest income, so they're just flipped in the, staff, in the agenda, the link service.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, yeah.
But I think the suggested motion on the agenda is correct. Just not the report.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. You ready to
So-
move?
Yeah, we can go ahead and entertain a motion.
Okay, I move to approve the allocation of $50,000 to the Library Capital Reserve Fund from the Library County Reimburse Operations Account as approved in the fiscal year 25 budget.
26 budget.
Oh, it says 25.
I'm
Okay,
looking on the
26.
agenda, on the agenda.
Okay. All right.
All right. So
I'll
this
second.
is, yeah,
Okay.
just to clarify, it's approved in the FY 26 budget. Is there a second for the motion?
Second.
Thanks, Peg. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion passes. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. All right. Transfer of interest income to Capital Reserve Fund. Kip? Explain this to us, please.
Since the library moved its record or financial keeping responsibilities over to the county, our funds have been pooled, and the county treasurer is really good at investment. So prior to that shift, the library would receive, maybe if we were lucky, $5,000 in interest per year. The last 3 years now, we've received well over $100,000 in interest. This year, or fiscal year 25, we received just a little over $120,000. And so since we've been receiving so much, we've been beefing up our capital reserves funds even more. And so we would like to transfer $120,000 from FY 25 interest revenue into capital reserves.
Well, that's very good news.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Who would please make a motion to approve that?
I move to approve the allocation of $120,000 to the library capital reserve fund from the library county interest income account. I believe that's correct.
Thanks, Elizabeth. I'll second the motion. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
It looks unanimous, but is anyone not in favor? Motion passes. Matter from board members, library employees, etc. Quarterly report from the Board of County Commissioners, and an update on the redesign project and an update on wildfire mitigation. Kip?
The quarterly report to the commissioners was there just for your information. Lisa McGee, former board member and chair, spent her last day of her term sitting at the BCC meeting only to have it tabled. So she never got to present. And we were rescheduled to the following Monday, and they said that the written report was sufficient, so.
Okay. Oh, well.
It's fine.
Many
Good.
thanks to Lisa for showing up and regardless.
Yes. You've already heard about the wildfire mitigation project, the website redesign project. I'll let Stella talk about where we are.
Oh, sure, thank you. So at this point with the website redesign, just as a reminder and also just to update Elizabeth and Miles when he gets to do this. We are working with a company called Library Market. As the name suggests, they work with libraries. We also have their library calendar product, which is what we do for room reservations and so forth. However, that was not, already working with them was not the primary consideration to go with Library Market. We did do a full vesting process, so forth. So as part of the project, the proposed timeline is roughly about a 4-month project. We are, as part of our agreement, we do have the web committee. We do have weekly meetings now with our project manager from Library Market. Her name is Valerie. So I think we just had our second regular meeting with her. Initially, we also had a kickoff meeting. Where we're at right now is the web committee, we are doing an audit of our existing website. Library Market provided us with, the scope of what to look at in terms of our audit. So looking at various pages, ranking them, deciding, is this information that we would want on our future website? Yes, no. What do we like about it? What do we dislike? So it's just a complete process that the web committee is going through, each of us on our own. And then next week, we'll be meeting together as a committee to look at what we each chose and decided on, and then we will be providing that information back to Valerie at Library Market, so that then she can use that information to then start building together our future website. Another thing that we just met about yesterday when we had our weekly meeting was Library Market also provided us with some other websites that their product is used with. And we did some likes, dislikes exercises, looking at things like navigation, what sort of navigation we would prefer, taxonomy in terms of what sort of terms are used for navigation bars, looked at a little bit of layout. So we started that process as well. So we're definitely, we, the website committee, definitely have homework to do every week, because this is going to be an intensive process. And then also, part of that process was also a staff survey. As of yesterday, I believe we found out there were 24 staff who had responded to the survey. So Diana Eden, our communications coordinator, just gave another prompt to staff to please remember to fill out the survey. And then we also have a survey open to all of our community members. So I'd like to give you all a prompt to please take the survey. That survey is open, I think, through the first week of August, whereas our staff survey is closing next week. So please,
I will send a link
okay.
in an email to everyone.
I might have already done it.
Yeah, and if you know of other library website users out there, you can encourage folks, in the community to take the survey. Because that will certainly prove useful in terms of what our community wants, needs out of our website. One other thing that Valerie provided us with, we did give her login access to our Google Analytics that looks at the web traffic. And that was some of what we saw in terms of like the highest number use pages was not surprising. And then I think there were a few little surprises, and she also looked at it for a 3-year period. So it was interesting to see how the traffic has changed on some of the pages. I don't know, Kip, if you had anything to add about that part.
What I found interesting, and she said it was not the norm for most libraries. Most of our users are Mac users. And most of our users are on desktop, laptop, rather than a mobile device or a tablet. Which is, yeah, not surprised by the Mac piece, but the other piece is kind of strange.
Oh,
So you mentioned 4 months. Are we like 1 month in? Like, are we thinking this exercise is complete,
We should.
mid-October or something, whatever? What do we
I
think?
think early, mid-November.
November,
where
okay.
the
Yeah.
website will come out.
Yeah. And then, so right now, as I say, we're kind of doing work with Library Market, but then there is a point in the overall project scope where then their staff will then take the information thus far, and we'll probably still have weekly meetings, but then there'll be a pause point probably for our staff in terms of the work that we do, while then Library Market staff that actually work on creating the website and so forth. So
Would it be announced that there's a new website?
yes.
Okay.
And one of the things that the web committee has tried to do thus far, and Diana Eden implemented was with some of the early on navigation changes that we were looking at. She's implemented a little bit of that just so that when we do go to a new website, it's a little bit more familiar to folks. So we'll continue trying doing that as we can. Just little tweaks, without redoing our current website, because that would not be a useful time. Got a little tongue tied there.
Great, exciting. I have experience redoing websites, and I know it takes so much work, so thank you. Please accept me.
Thank you.
And I have something that's not on the list, matters from others. I have a letter from Diana, which she alluded to, the foundation requesting after hours, permission to serve alcohol. It's for Friday, August 15th from 6 to 7:30 PM. Per Teton County Facilities Policy, the board can approve after hours alcohol service up to 2 times per year. And this is the first request we've had in 2025, so we would need the board to authorize that use. There's no suggested motion, so.
So do we need, did you say that we need to authorize that, Kip? Do we need to?
Yes, yeah,
So we need to make a motion and we need to authorize it?
yes.
Yeah.
Did we
So,
just skip it on the agenda?
No,
Oh,
Elizabeth's gonna wing it here.
okay.
I'm looking at a different date. I so move to approve the Teton County Library and Friends request to serve alcohol at their volunteer appreciation party on August 15th.
15?
Yes.
I'll second the motion. Thank you, Elizabeth and Mary Lee. We will now vote on the motion. All in favor?
I
Motion passes. Yeah, and I wanted to
Thank you.
comment on that topic as well. I am not able to attend that event. I'll still be out of town, and I hope other board members will be able to go.
Yeah. Fortunately.
I'll attend
Great.
if we're invited.
Yes,
Excellent.
no, yes, that was included in the report, that this is for all volunteers who support the library, including the Foundation and Friends Board and the Library Board. And yes, we would absolutely love for you to be there.
Thank you.
Awesome. And thank you, Peg, for making a fun event for everybody. That'll be great. Did I say Diane? Diana? I said Peg.
Yeah.
I meant Diana. Thank you.
you, Mary Lee. Thank you.
It's been a long day already.
Yes.
All right. Kip, is there anything else? Any board members have anything else that we need to talk about today?
I have a question. Wanted to thank you for emailing us about the breaks and meal periods policy. I'd like to echo Mary Lee's response. I feel like we handled that very well. And just to ask if there's anything else we should know, any updates, anything you feel like you need from us.
We've talked to county HR. It's a struggle across the county more individually than departments. And they have been trying to enforce it more with those individuals. We're the only department that didn't follow, so it's a bigger struggle here. And I don't know, I haven't talked to managers to see if people have started to try to do it or if they're just gonna go cold turkey on September 2nd. But we have until September 2nd to get used to that.
Feels it like 10% of the group, about like what, or is it half the people, just a sense, how? Here.
Here,
Yeah. Roughly.
probably what, maybe half. I don't know.
Quite that many.
It's quite a few,
Oh,
and it depends on the day possibly too.
Yeah.
I just more of a trend, that's curious.
We have I think 3 people who work 4 10s, and that policy explicitly states you have to take a meal break because of the length of the time. So those folks are already doing it, and then
Can I,
it depends.
can I say something about this? Are you aware that, the library went under the county's policies and HR and everything just 3 years ago,
No, not,
4 years
not
ago,
for HR, that's been probably
forever?
5, 6, 7 years ago.
Okay.
That's been some time.
Whatever, it's
Right.
for a long, long time. They operated under their own, and a lot of those people are still here.
Sure.
And it's hard to change from a situation when you're kind of independent, more or less independent of everybody else's HR rules. It's better to be under some sort of standardized program, but I understand the pushback. On the other hand, pony up, guys, do what you're supposed to do.
And can you remind me, it's probably because the lunch break is unpaid and then also you just are more, like you can't stay in the flow as much because you're forced to take a break.
It's half an hour for lunch,
It's,
15 minutes for breaks.
I think it's people want as much free time outside of work and not be tied to work. Makes sense. I mean, I understand. But we signed the agreement that we follow policy and,
And it,
as much as I've done not extensive research, but I cannot find any research that supports taking a break. Pretty much.
it's,
Well, thank you. I
labor
was just
issues.
curious.
No,
It's just county policy.
oh, I know, but they're,
They don't require it.
oh,
All right. Then in that case, is there anything else? All right, it was a long agenda. Thanks, everybody. I will be back in town to be at the in-person in August. Yay, I'm very happy about that. And I hope I'll see everybody there in person, but maybe not. So let's, unless anybody else has this one last opportunity to say anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Just a quick thank you to the library staff and to the library foundation and friends.
Yes, thank
And with
you.
that, I move to adjourn this July 17th, 2025 regular.
I'll second.
All in favor?
I.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. The motion passes. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank
Thanks.
you.